January 2026. A rest stop on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. 4 EVgo fast charging stations stand in a row like tombstones. 2 have been broken for 3 months. 1 has a vandalized screen. The 4th one works technically. It hasn't been used in 6 days. Last month, this location generated $340 in revenue. The costs? $1,847. They're losing $1,500 every single month. And this isn't an outlier. This is happening at over 3,000 locations across America. The electric vehicle charging gold rush just went bust, and the wreckage is spectacular. I spent 2 years defending the EV charging build-out. I believed the industry projections. I believed the infrastructure would be profitable once adoption hit critical mass. I believed the companies knew what they were doing with the unit economics. Then I started looking at the actual financial filings, the actual operating costs, the actual revenue per location, and I realized I'd been defending a business model that never worked, not even on paper. Today I'm showing you exactly how billions of dollars vanished, why an entire industry is collapsing simultaneously, and what this means for the electric vehicle transition everyone promised was inevitable. The charging companies had a compelling story. EVgo said they were building the backbone of America's electric future. ChargePoint claimed they'd be the gas stations of tomorrow. Blink promised network effects would drive profitability. Electrify America had Volkswagen's diesel settlement money backing them. The pitch was simple: build it and they will come. Early adoption would be slow, but once EV sales hit 10% of the market, charging would print money. Investors believed it. ChargePoint went public via SPAC in 2021 at a $7 billion valuation. EVgo followed. Blink's stock quintupled. Over $10 billion in market capitalization appeared seemingly overnight. The operators pointed to Tesla superchargers as proof the model worked. Tesla had 99% uptime, high utilization rates, seamless payment integration. If Tesla could make it work, so could everyone else. The Department of Energy was bullish. McKinsey published optimistic projections. $7.5 billion in federal infrastructure money got allocated to build out charging networks. States added their own incentives. The money was flowing. The future looked electric. But there were skeptics. Energy analysts who'd actually run the numbers questioned the economics. Utility executives privately worried about demand charges making stations unprofitable. Independent operators who tried running chargers were quietly folding. One former charging network executive told Bloomberg in 2023, "The unit economics have never worked. Everyone's waiting for scale to fix it. Scale isn't coming fast enough." Nobody wanted to hear it. The narrative was too powerful, the subsidies too generous, the stock prices too high. Both sides missed what was actually happening. Because the math wasn't just bad, the math was catastrophic in ways that no amount of scale or optimization could fix. Installing a DC fast charging station costs $150,000 to $250,000 per plug. That's just the hardware. Grid connection adds another $50,000 to $500,000 depending on location. A typical 4-plug station, $800,000 to $1.2 million before you sell a single kilowatt hour. The federal subsidies covered 50 to 80% of installation costs, which made the upfront investment look manageable. But installation was never the problem. The operating costs are where everything falls apart. Start with site lease, $3,000 to $8,000 monthly. Then comes the killer, demand charges. Utilities bill commercial customers not just for energy consumed, but for peak capacity. A 350-kilowatt fast charger creates enormous demand spikes. Even if the charger gets used once a day, the utility bills for that 350-kilowatt capacity all month long. Demand charges run $3,500 to $10,500 monthly. Often, they exceed the actual electricity costs. Add network connectivity, $150 to $400 monthly. Maintenance, $500 to $1,500 monthly, and climbing as equipment ages. Insurance, $800 to $2,000 monthly. Total monthly operating costs, $12,000 to $25,000 per location. That's before paying a single employee, before credit card processing fees, before customer service. Now the revenue side. At 3 sessions daily, which is typical for most locations, you're looking at $5,400 to $11,880 monthly revenue. Session prices range from $16 to $33. Electricity costs $4 to $11 per session. Gross margin per session, $12 to $22. Sounds reasonable until you realize you need 15 to 20 sessions daily just to break even. Most locations get 2 to 5. EVgo's Pennsylvania rest stop isn't unusual. It's the norm. J.D. Power's 2025 study found 25 to 30% of charging stations are non-functional at any given time. Broken screens, software glitches, payment system failures, vandalized cables, cable connector damage from drivers who don't understand the equipment. Each repair requires a technician truck roll. Each truck roll costs $300 to $800. Parts are back-ordered for months. The maintenance costs that operators budgeted at $500 monthly are running $1,500 to $3,000. And here's the vicious cycle. Low revenue means deferred maintenance. Deferred maintenance means worse reliability. Worse reliability means lower usage. Lower usage means even less revenue. The death spiral is built into the business model. ChargePoint stock is down 89% from its 2021 peak. The company is burning $400 million annually with no path to profitability. Blink just reported its 9th consecutive loss year, $127 million lost on $95 million revenue. That's not a typo. They're losing more money than they're making in total revenue. EVgo filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy in December 2025, citing $680 million in debt. Electrify America, backed by Volkswagen's multi-billion-dollar diesel settlement, has burned through $2 billion since 2017. They just announced they need another $1 billion capital injection to continue operations. Smaller operators are simply dissolving. Volta declared bankruptcy in 2023. Francis Energy shut down operations. EV Connect stopped deploying new chargers and is desperately trying to sell the company. The pattern is universal. Nobody is profitable. Not one major charging network operator in America makes money. After a decade of operation, billions in investment, and massive federal subsidies, the industry has produced 0 profitable companies. You're probably thinking, but this is infrastructure. Infrastructure takes time to become profitable. Gas stations weren't profitable immediately either. Let me show you why that comparison is wrong. Gas stations make money on convenience store sales, not fuel. Fuel margins are razor thin. The gas pumps exist to drive traffic to higher margin products inside. Charging stations don't have that model. Drivers don't wait around for 30 to 40 minutes to buy snacks. They sit in their cars. Some operators tried adding retail partnerships. Nobody wants to shop at a rest stop charging station in January. The dwell time is too long for impulse purchases, too short for destination retail. The deeper problem is that 80% of EV charging happens at home. The target customer for public fast charging is road trippers and apartment dwellers without home charging. Road trippers charge once or twice monthly. Apartment dwellers are using level 2 chargers at work or overnight. The addressable market for expensive DC fast charging is dramatically smaller than anyone projected. In 2022, McKinsey projected 15 to 20 sessions daily per charger by 2025. Reality, 2 to 5 sessions daily and falling as home charging installation increases. Tesla superchargers are the exception that proves the rule. Tesla achieves 99% uptime through vertical integration. They design the chargers, they manufacture them, they control the software, they own the payment system, they staff their own maintenance teams. Most importantly, they don't pay demand charges the way third-party operators do because they can negotiate different rate structures as a vehicle manufacturer with massive energy purchases. And even Tesla doesn't break out supercharger profitability separately. Industry analysts believe Tesla supercharging is subsidized by vehicle sales. It's a loss leader to make Tesla ownership more convenient. Elon Musk opened the supercharger network to other manufacturers in 2024, not because it was profitable, but because taking federal and EVI funding required openness. Tesla's competitive advantage is so large that even with network access, competitors can't match the experience. Here's what the charging companies don't tell you in investor presentations. Every single DC fast charging location operates underwater without subsidies. The $7.5 billion federal infrastructure bill created the illusion of viability. Operators got 50 to 80% of installation costs covered. That made the pitch to investors look plausible. But federal subsidies don't cover operating losses. They don't cover demand charges. They don't cover maintenance. They don't cover vandalism. The federal money deployed over 3 years. Operators raced to build as many locations as possible while subsidy money flowed. Now the installation subsidies are mostly allocated. The locations are operating, and every single month the cash burn accelerates. ChargePoint's last quarterly filing showed operating losses of $100 million in 90 days. They have 18 months of runway left at current burn rates. EVgo made it to bankruptcy first, but the others are following the same trajectory. And here's the part that should make you angry. You paid for this. $7.5 billion in taxpayer money-funded charging stations that are now being abandoned because the business model never worked. The federal government didn't require profitability analysis, didn't require operational sustainability plans, just installed capacity. Operators took the money, built the chargers, watched the operating losses mount, and filed bankruptcy. The taxpayer-funded hardware sits there, broken and unused. I talked to a former ChargePoint engineer last month. He'd worked on site selection and deployment strategy from 2019 to 2023. He left the company after realizing management knew the economics didn't work. We had internal models showing that break-even required 12 to 15 sessions daily. We were seeing 3 to 4. Management kept saying scale would fix it. But scale doesn't fix demand charges. Scale doesn't make apartment dwellers suddenly need fast charging. Scale doesn't change the fact that 80% of EV owners charge at home. He tried raising concerns internally, tried showing leadership the utilization data, tried explaining that demand charges made certain locations permanently unprofitable regardless of volume. They didn't want to hear it. They'd raised hundreds of millions from investors based on optimistic projections. Admitting the model was broken meant admitting the company had no path to profitability. So they kept building, kept spending, kept showing investors capacity numbers instead of revenue numbers. When he finally quit, he posted a cautious LinkedIn message about the importance of sustainable business models in infrastructure. 47 people from the EV industry attacked him in the comments, called him a fossil fuel shill, said he didn't understand network effects, accused him of undermining the transition to clean energy. I spent 4 years trying to make EV charging work. I wanted it to succeed. But wanting something doesn't make the math work. And the math never worked. That last line haunts me, because he's describing the entire industry. Wanting sustainable transportation is good. Wanting to reduce emissions is good. But building an infrastructure system on business models that guarantee bankruptcy doesn't achieve those goals. It just wastes billions of dollars and leaves broken chargers scattered across America. The vandalism epidemic makes everything worse. Copper theft from charging cables is rampant. Thieves cut cables to extract copper wire. Repair costs $1,500 to $3,000 per cable. Some locations have been hit 6 or 7 times. Operators install security cameras. Thieves steal the cameras. Screen smashing is common. Kids with rocks. Angry drivers whose cars didn't charge. Costs add up fast when you're operating 3,000 locations. Meanwhile, working capital crisis is hitting. These companies can't secure new financing. Credit lines are being pulled. Equipment vendors are demanding cash on delivery because they've watched too many charging companies declare bankruptcy. The vendors who sold installation services are themselves going bankrupt because operators aren't paying invoices. It's a cascading failure through the entire supply chain. The only winner is Tesla. Supercharger network keeps expanding. Utilization keeps climbing. Other manufacturers are paying Tesla to let their customers use superchargers. Tesla is monetizing competitors' failure to build working infrastructure. And every time a ChargePoint or EVgo charger is broken, Tesla owners post about it on social media. Tried to charge my Ford Lightning at an EVgo station. Broken. Drove to a Tesla supercharger. Worked perfectly. Maybe I should have bought a Tesla. Free marketing funded by competitors' incompetence. The real tragedy is what this does to EV adoption. Range anxiety is real. Public charging reliability matters for people who can't charge at home. A broken charging network slows adoption, creates negative word of mouth, makes people hesitant to buy electric. The charging companies promised they were building the infrastructure to enable the EV transition. Instead, they've created a landscape of broken equipment and financial wreckage that undermines consumer confidence. $7.5 billion in federal money deployed, $10 billion in market cap destroyed. Thousands of charging locations losing money every single month. An entire industry approaching bankruptcy simultaneously. And the fundamental problem was always obvious. Charging is infrastructure. Infrastructure rarely generates attractive returns without monopoly pricing or continuous subsidy. Neither was available. Your neighbor with the EV probably charges at home 95% of the time. They're fine. But the person who believes industry promises about ubiquitous fast charging, they're stuck with limited options, broken chargers, and watching the companies that took billions in investment and subsidies collapse one after another. That doesn't go away when EVgo finishes bankruptcy proceedings. The charging stations in Pennsylvania are still there. 2 broken, 1 vandalized, 1 working. Losing $1,500 monthly. Nobody's coming to fix them. EVgo is in bankruptcy. The maintenance contracts are in legal limbo. The equipment will sit there until the site lease expires. Then the landlord will have to pay for removal. More costs, more waste, more evidence that everyone involved mistook subsidy-driven deployment for sustainable business model. Tell me in the comments, do you own an EV? If so, what percentage of your charging is at home versus public stations? More importantly, did you know the charging companies were losing this much money? If you're defending public charging infrastructure in the comments, tell me this. Can you name a single profitable charging network operator in America? If you can't, if the question makes you defensive, congratulations. You've been defending an industry built on financial engineering and federal subsidies that's currently collapsing in spectacular fashion.